Alrighty, okay, so now we got a public comment period. This is on action items. Items are indicated by an asterisk on the copy of the agenda. Per our minutes of last meeting, anybody coming to the podium for policy of the city council, we voted that the speaker must give their full name and ward or town if not from Aberdeen. So anybody speaking, please provide your full name and ward or town. So if anybody would like to speak on agenda items only, please come forward.
Hello? Hi. You can call me Mike. I live here.
And please provide your full name and ward or city.
Okay. No, thank you.
Per policy of the Aberdeen City Council, please provide your full name and ward or city.
Okay. You realize that's against state law?
You
can't make a hurdle for people to participate in an open meeting.
A request is based on the need for complete public records that so that we may be responsive. There is no requirement for public to attend to provide their name, but as part of the record, we're requesting to provide that.
Right, but the state law I'm referencing is in the Open Public Meetings Act, and it talks about participation. It doesn't specify attendance, it says participation. That includes public comment periods.
Excuse me. I'm hoping down the river, and I've never met this guy. Maybe I can speak.
Hold on 1 second. The city council has provided policies reflecting your full name and your ward or city if you are not from Aberdeen, and that's the rule of order of this. You are not, and we are doing that specifically for full record for the comment. And frankly, in past meetings, you have requested more clear identification of individuals, and so you are one of the people who are attempting to serve in this. So please provide your full name and your town or city, or allow somebody else to have the record.
I gave you a name you can refer to me as and where I live.
I'd like your full name and your ward or town.
Yeah, you can refer to me as whatever you want for first, middle, last. So, I mean, I'm not partial to a specific name.
Please provide your full name and your city or town. Or sit down and allow somebody else to speak.
You're wasting everyone's
Yeah.
time here,
Yeah.
so why don't you give us your name?
This public meeting is to allow the city council to conduct business. I respectfully request that the people in the audience provide the same respect to each other that we expect to provide to others. So, sir, at the podium, will you please provide your full name and your ward or your city?
No, I would like to proceed with my public comment because that hurdle that you're imposing is against state law. And frankly, it's against the U.S. Constitution, trying to limit free speech.
It is a policy of this city council, and this is a business meeting for the city council. And our policy, per our last meeting, is that you provide your full name and your city and your ward, or your ward, in order to provide clear and precise records. So please do so, or this is the last time I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask you to leave.
Okay. You're welcome to do so. I'm just telling you that it's against state law. What you're doing is against state law and it's against the U.S. Constitution. Well, I could have already made my comment by now.
Well, you didn't provide the information required, so please sit down. Your time's up.
Okay. The comment that I have to make is regarding the...
Follow the policy of our meeting, or please sit down.
Time's up, Mike. Mike Nelson, your time's up.
Please. We've got this.
Okay.
Please sit down and allow somebody else to speak.
Why is my free speech being limited right now?
You are not following the policies or procedures of our meeting.
Okay. Your meeting does not trump, your meeting policy does not trump the U.S. Constitution, it does not trump Washington state law.
Every meeting has policies and rules, and we're asking you to follow ours.
Okay. Do you have that published somewhere? Is that a local ordinance?
It was a policy that was enacted in our
council meeting, and it is published in our minutes of our last city council meeting.
That doesn't actually make it actual current city ordinance or
It's
enforceable.
not an ordinance, it's
Right.
a policy.
Right.
It is the rule of the meeting, and the city council
And
has
it's,
established
I'm
the
telling you,
rule of the meeting.
it's violating state and federal law. So if you want to enforce that knowingly in violation of state and federal law, then do so. Otherwise, just allow me to speak.
I do not believe it is a violation of state law.
Okay.
All right, would somebody else like to speak?
So the comment I have is, well, it's actually apropos to what's going on currently, is that the people that work on behalf of the city of Aberdeen, or claim to, at least in the corporation, the city of Aberdeen, continue to do such things as tonight to infringe upon the Constitution and violate the constitutional oath.
There's policies and procedures with everything that happens in the world, including this meeting.
Okay, you all swore an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. Right now, you're in violation of it, which you were when you sent APD members to demand identification, demand papers, door to door, residence to residence down at the river.
They've never done that.
Yes.
I've been down there. They've never asked me for no paperwork.
Okay.
Well, that's a fact.
Thank you.
I've lived down there 2 years.
All right, at this time, I would like to clear the chamber. So we're gonna ask for a recess. And everybody please clear the chamber while we take care of this. Thanks.
Demanding,
I just got here, what did I miss?
they're demanding everybody give their full name and address or ward, like where they live, in order to speak. They say it's a random policy change that they enacted. So
When did they interact?
they say they did it last meeting.
They didn't do it last meeting. Okay.
Yeah. It's against state and federal law. So.
You're welcome.
It's going on night after night. Or,
I don't understand why these things are making a little I've never made such requests. When she said that, I didn't know what she was talking about. I didn't make any requests saying that we need to know specifically names of people who speak. No. I asked for like audio and video recordings of the meetings and things like that, but I don't ask for any additional information. So that claim that she made that we've asked for additional information is just incorrect.
Okay. Yeah, so they supposedly did research. I mean, again, I think I'm gonna tell you again, Mike, a lot of this stuff, I'm not a
Yeah.
politician.
Yeah.
So, they have corporate counsel that they pay her to, look into the statutes and laws and ways to properly do things, and of course, she is giving guidance to the mayor and the mayor pro tem. And so that last week when you weren't here, this was brought up
Okay.
and discussed, and so, they said in order to be more responsive, to public disclosure requests, that they start requiring people to give their names and just where they're from.
I provided that.
Well,
So for them,
You said Mike, and
Yeah.
you didn't say, what I don't
Yeah.
understand is everybody knows.
well, they think they know. They think they've identified me. But, and that's the thing that's really funny, is that I've never verified to anybody, like, full name or anything.
Right.
And trying to make that a hurdle for people is frankly, one, unconstitutional, and two,
So is it?
Yeah.
Is it under the US Constitution?
Yeah, it's against free speech, like freedom of speech. They make limitations. There's been rulings of the Supreme Court on limitations of free speech, like manner and time and place, if it hinders government business.
Okay.
Some stating an extra two names and an address doesn't help or doesn't meet that metric of hindering or not hindering, right? Not giving that information doesn't hinder government business at all. that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean.
So they
by
haven't
giving-
they haven't met the metric by making that policy. That doesn't pass constitutional muster. So they can say it's a policy all they want, it doesn't pass constitutional muster, and it doesn't pass state law that I was referencing. And Patrice was kind of aware of it. She said, attendance, which is actually says participation of public meetings in the Public Meetings Act for Washington State law.
But it has nothing to do about identifying who you are?
No, actually it says that it's illegal, or you can't, government agencies can't mandate or make any kind of restrictions or hurdles for people to participate in public meetings, right? So for instance, you can't say you have to wear certain things, or you can't wear certain things, or you have to say this part of your name or where you live. You can't make these hurdles to participate.
Mhm.
So for instance, in Ocean Shores, I'm trying to work out a case in Ocean Shores where they have people write down their name and then their topic prior to the meeting. And the first time I went to a meeting out there, I didn't know that they had that. They made that hurdle, so I wasn't able to speak. I respected their thing because,
That was their process?
well, it opened and closed. The public, it was too fast for me to go up. I would be out of order to go up and do it after they closed public comment, right? So I respected that because it was open and closed before I realized what happened. I'm like, well, crap, I just missed my window. Actually, I missed it 30 minutes ago.
When you were supposed to sign?
Right, yeah. And so I brought that to their attention.
Did they finally ask
Yeah.
you to sign up your name, or do they require that you put a full name?
So no, they don't, I don't think it says full name. Because, who's out there? Nikki Logan?
Yes.
Actually, I ran into her, the second time I went to a meeting. And that was after a month or so of emailing and trying to get a hold of whoever's the mayor out there and the council people about.
Crystal did.
Yeah, Crystal, yeah. And didn't hear any reply. I was like, hey, you guys made this hurdle, this obstacle for visually impaired people to be able to participate equally. Like, I had no warning that you made this hurdle for me to cross in order to speak, right? And you haven't done anything to address it. And so I knew beforehand, so I went early, and they actually moved it, which is a whole debacle, but I ran into Nikki.
Move the time, or?
No, they moved the location, and I guess posted it on paper on the original meeting place. Luckily, they had a convention, and somebody directed me. And anyway, so I ran into Nikki, and I didn't know who she was. That was the first time I met her. She helped me fill out the thing, their paper beforehand. So, but then I addressed that. That was my comment then. Was like, hey, you guys are making hurdles to participate in public meetings, which is against state law. Which is actually the only comment. That and some police corruption there, but that was the only. Like, it's the same stuff I keep running into place in place where people in positions, they have this perceived idea that they have power or authority to wield over people when it violates their own oath of office to uphold the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And instead of actually researching it themselves, they defer to legal counsel, right? Like you said, and say, well, to me, that's the cop-out. Like, if you swore an oath, then you're accountable to that oath yourself, you know, and deferring somebody else to, I mean, sure, do research, ask for advice, but don't just defer your oath to somebody else. Like, that's too many people that work here for Patrice to have on her shoulders, yeah. You know, and that's what we keep running into, is people not actually taking their oath to heart and actually researching it and saying, well, does this have merit? Because any one of the people up there, any one of the council members could have called Patrice out of order, they could have called Tawni out of order and said, hey, you know what, actually, we all swore an oath to the Constitution, the man is correct, we need to let him speak and move on, and it would have been over with. Instead, it was just back and forth, which is ridiculous, you know. So.
I mean, early on anyway, you definitely had some, what I thought were some good messages, but I don't know if your message is starting to get lost in this process.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just throwing out some thoughts.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's because,
I mean, it just seems to be more focused on the process rather than your message.
Well, that's part of the message. That's why I tried to tie in the two really quick to try to make a statement before they cleared the room was that the stifling of constitutional rights, you know, or people that swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, as seen by trying to stop somebody from talking freely at open public comment period, is a rampant thing. That's just an example. Another example was going to demand IDs from people to get them to sign, you know, permits to live at the river camp. Like, that's also a violation of the Fourth and Fifth Amendment. So I was like trying to highlight, hey, this is a common thing. People just don't, they're doing it because they're told to do it. They're told this is your job, you do it. Which, just following orders, doing my job is the Nazi defense in Nuremberg, and in the trials there after World War II. And it's sad, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar, it's a great case study for you to look up if you want. It's called the Milgram experiment. There's a scientist, Milgram, I think Milgram, because the world was, you know, baffled at the Nazi officers' defense of,
I'm sorry, I'm slow, M-I-L?
Milgram, Milgram experiment. Yeah, you can find like full documentaries and stuff on YouTube and stuff. It's really fascinating. So it was after this Nuremberg trial, and the world was kind of stunned at how many of these guys kept saying, "I tortured and murdered people because it was my job." Like, you know, and it's like, whoa, like the world wanted an answer. Like, how are this just certain areas of the world where there's really corrupt people, or is this a common phenomenon? So that's what that experiment did. Was he set it up in New York, had a bunch of guys come in and tested them. They were given instructions to test a guy who actually wasn't hooked up to electrodes, but they thought he was.
Oh, so I think maybe it's...
Yeah, and so if he gets it wrong, they're supposed to give him a shock, and the next time he gets it wrong, gives him higher shock, all the way to like lethal doses of shock. And 75% of the guys were giving lethal doses. They would stop and have hesitancy and look back to the guy in the white lab coat. Right, because they're like, they wanted clearance from the quote-unquote authority who's running the experiment, and the guy said, no, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep shocking him because the experiment needs it. He knows what he gotten into, even though the guy's screaming in agony, and then he even stops, like, you know, the recording stops, like, so the guy is unconscious or dead, right, and they're still shocking him at like 440 volts, and it's like 75%, like how? So that was in America, like that was New York City, and they're like, well, is this a common phenomenon that people just believe in authority so much, so they're not willing to think and hold to their own principles because they're deferring responsibility. Well, I'm not responsible for killing a guy, the guy in the lab coat is. You know, just the same thing that the Nazis did. And that's what's going on here. It's like, I'm not responsible for my oath to the Constitution and upholding those rights, Patrice is. And so I'm trying to highlight that, like, and so yeah, what is the message? That is the message. It's like personal responsibility, personal freedom starts with the person, and not deferring it to some body of people to try to do it for people. That's the message. It may not be getting through because a lot of the people don't want to hear it. Right? They want to keep it safe in the whole, you know, they think it's safe anyway, to give up freedoms.
I do know when there was this discussion, they did merely inquire, says, oh, well, somebody comes up and gives some type of name, and then they say, no, that is my legal name. Right. How can you verify that? How can you verify? Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that was the other option I was going to go. That, well, are you challenging that it's my legal name, right? Do you have any facts to verify that or falsify that? In which they don't, you know. So how? So you're well, I guess you're not going to answer that, but I guess the name and date of birth that I know you by is what you're telling me may not be your
Well, I mean, I've got a copy of what you guys have in, was it Spillman?
Right.
And it's not complete, right? And it's partial information, and a lot of it's dated, and I've worked in other...
Well, I guess my question, is it inaccurate?
There are inaccuracies on there, yeah.
On your identity?
Yeah, I'm not going to give any more than that.
Okay.
So. I mean, I worked in an area of all kinds of messed up stuff in the military that it's...
You don't rather talk about.
Yeah, and
I gathered that early on.
Yeah. So there's an aspect of anonymity that not just for me and my family, but for other people.
I appreciate that.
As far as accountability, like I openly admit that I did horrendous, violent, murderous things, including murder of people. Like, and so who holds me accountable for that? For war crimes? Like if I've been, where do we go for that, for accountability? What is actually justice in that case? Can I go find families of the people and offer myself as no, it's probably impossible for me to find families of my victims, right? And if I did, would that be justice if they took my head off? Like, I don't think so.
So I got to tell you that.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciated when you told me that you were a bit perplexed by homicides because you didn't know how to make that equal.
Right. Yeah.
What if, I'm just posing this scenario, if some horrific crime were to have occurred with your wife or your daughter, and I think you know what type of crime I'm talking about. It doesn't kill them, but it's. I mean, how do you make that equal? Yeah. I don't think damaging a person. I don't think sodomizing or traumatizing somebody else because they did that act is equal. I don't think locking them in the cage is equal either. I think definitely. I have a wife and a daughter.
Myself,
and I struggled with that.
Right.
I've had some thoughts. More than one night when you and I had that discussion. Yeah.
Well, it goes back to, like, child rearing is really where it's, it first clicked for me. Like, because I have 5 kids, right? So one kid would hit the other kid, and I'd go and hit that kid.
Okay.
And say, don't hit. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
Right? This isn't justice. I'm just doing the same thing I'm telling him not to do, but I'm teaching him if I have more power and I can control it, then it's okay, which is the current judicial system.
Right.
Current law enforcement system, actually, is the same
Right.
thing, right? Show up with more force, dominate, control the system, have more guns, And that's not actually justice. That's actually reinstilling a system of violence. So what do you do with that? You try to re-educate the person that's doing it, and definitely confront them on it and say, hey, we know you did this, you hurt this person, and here's that. And this goes back to if you're really interested in resources, it's a nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg, and he talks about people are only saying 2 things: please or thank you. So nonviolent communication, and so if people are only saying please or thank you, and all this other stuff is just muddled layers of stuff in between, it may sound really violent, really angry. The language he uses is jackal and giraffe, because giraffe has the largest heart of all land animals, right? So if we want to speak in giraffe and really listen to the heart of the communication of somebody and hear their please or thank you and address that. Okay, they're asking for something. They're saying, please meet my need. How can I meet the need? The rapist is saying, please meet my need. He's just very jackal about it. He's very violent about it, and he's acting on it, right? So how can we meet the guy's need? Or gal's need? What is the need that's actually there? Is it rape? No, that's not a human need, because all needs are universal, right? We don't have a need for that. We have need for companionship. We have need for intimacy. We have need for connection, right? That could be the need, right? So how can we meet that need in another way, right? And finding a way to meet the need, and helping that person understand that, hey, you have a need you're trying to meet, and you're doing it in a very violent, destructive way, and that's only going to cause hearts for you and everyone around you, right? And helping them understand that, while helping them try to basically put in safeguards for the community, like, yes, having a registry, like letting people know this person's done this, be careful if they're recovering or whatever, and then even if they persist, if it's like
Serial rapists.
right, yeah, then use ostracization, basically, and we have the technology now to do that, to have pictures and photos and video and have it through an alert system. Say, hey, this guy, be on alert. If you see him, don't do business with him. Right? Not even like report it to anything to go beat somebody up or throw him in a cage. Just do not interact with this individual, right? Or be ready to defend yourself in case you come across this individual. We have the technology to do that, to have it on glasses or on clothing, or whatever.
And you
cameras.
think you would truly still feel that way if it was your wife or your daughter that had been viciously victimized?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess maybe you're a better man than me, and I don't
No.
know. I don't know. If my daughter and my wife.
Yeah.
I got
So
3
what about-
daughters.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
What about serial killer?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, at some point, if through the, being ostracized, being basically blacklisted to be able to do any business or anything in a community or in an area, then I think there's other theories, on how to do that. One of them being like a penal colony, so you're not actually restricting them, right? If they manage to, like an island, basically, send them to an island where they have all the resources available to survive, even give them training on survival prior to, like, here's everything you need to know how to survive. Let me teach you survival skills, and then we send them out there. If they manage to build a raft and make it a civilization and go again, hey, their will to live is incredible. Maybe through that process they change, I think that's definitely a possibility. There's all kinds of other ideas on how to address that, but the systemic violence is so rampant anyway that people just assume the only answer to violence is violence. That you're doing something I don't like, let me force you to do something I want you to do. Like, you're speaking in a manner I don't like, let me force you to stop.
Right.
And that's, it's violence.
That is, I don't know how many people feel it the same way you do,
Yeah.
generally speaking. I think, boy, if you're victimized, for the
It's
most
hard.
part, people want to know that there's some consequences.
They want
for those
revenge.
victimized.
Yeah, they don't want justice. They want revenge. And speaking as somebody who's taken revenge, even lethal revenge, because of brothers that were killed, and we go out and find the guys who blew them up and killed, it's not justice. It doesn't bring them back, doesn't bring any closure, doesn't, So, it's more bitter. It causes more death, more suffering, the cycle continues. You just created more people that hate, name the stereotype, hate white guys, hate Americans, hate soldiers, or whatever, because I just took out, this guy's uncle and dad and cousin, and so then that's the next generation of jihadists that want to retaliate, and so then it perpetuates, and then back and forth. Like I said, one of our chats, Gandhi's line, an eye for an eye makes the whole eye blind, the whole world blind. So, and I'm firm to that, it's difficult.
I talked for hours, Mike, on your beliefs and my beliefs.
Yeah.
It'd be hours to
I'd love it.
try to dig into your head, you dig into
yeah.
mine, because I was over in Iraq, and
Yeah.
I never took revenge,
Mhm.
as you brought up. It was, we were out there and we always got shot at,
Mhm.
mortar or RPG,
Mhm.
and we were trying to protect our strikers.
Okay. Mhm.
Like, well, you're gonna take the person out before they take out your
Sure.
brothers.
Yeah.
It's not a revenge, it's to me, a survival.
Okay.
I'm coming home to my wife and kid
Mhm.
at the end of this deployment.
Yeah. Now I agree it's survival, but in that situation, who's the aggressor?
The aggressor,
Mhm. Who's the initial aggressor in that situation?
the people shooting at me,
Not the people who invaded somebody's homeland?
well, we're not invading.
Why not?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm
Why
there
was
serving
that?
my country like you.
Oh.
You
So,
served your
but
country.
calling it something else, does that make it different? The people that lived there that saw strikers rolling down and heavily armed men rolling down their town?
We're not shooting though. We're not doing any violence.
That's
We're just
violence.
driving.
But no, we weren't just being there. You had an ROE, right?
ROE,
When were
yeah,
you there?
I did. I was 04, 05.
Okay, yeah, so the ROE was very loose back in 04, 05.
I understand the ROE and what it was.
Yeah.
But I was not part of the striker brigade.
Mhm.
I was with them, but
Mhm.
my ROE was different. I'm not gonna get into it.
Yeah.
But I never sought out
Yeah.
that kind of behavior or revenge behavior.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Well,
I had a lot of
Yeah.
good friends, good people over there.
yeah.
Kurdish,
Likewise.
Muslim,
Yeah.
I mean, good people.
Yeah.
But I wasn't invading,
Why do you think that? Were you there invited? Did the people in the communities want you there?
Jump in
Yeah.
real quick, see if they need me for
Yeah,
anything.
sure.
I guess as a kid, how old was I? 26, a kid,
Mhm.
I guess. I never thought an invasion, right? I was there doing my job,
Okay, but were you there by invitation? Did the people in the communities want you there?
Invite,
Mhm.
I could say America seems like we're a social justice warrior. Go out and take care of other countries and help them out and
You're kind of not answering the question. You're deferred, like
I,
cat dancing.
like I said, I'm not, I don't know. I wasn't invited personally.
Right, I wasn't either. Like, not by anyone locally. I was invited by the politicians that say, hey, we need people with guns to go over there and do our bidding.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't invited by the local people in the community to go there. At least not until way later when it was something different.
We went into a lot of communities,
Mhm.
the Christian, the Catholic, the Muslim communities, and they invited, like, I'd knock on the door,
Mhm.
hey, I'd like to, can you help me out here? And they
Mhm.
invited me in, they fed us, they were appreciative,
Mhm.
grateful that we were there.
Was it an occupation?
What's that?
Was it an occupation? Military occupation?
We never had that discussion of the occupation.
Mhm.
But they were grateful we were there.
Mm.
I don't.
There are individuals who showed gratitude, and gratitude is a huge part of the culture there, as you know. So even as invaders, as foreign occupiers, they're still going to show gratitude. And a lot of that is and just like if we were occupied, for instance,
Yeah.
if we had occupiers here, like, well, let me put it more to home for you, right? If you're serving a warrant on a house here in Aberdeen, and you go in fully kitted up because you think there's some bad juju in the house, like guns and drugs and stuff, right? Did the homeowner invite you in? Or did someone else say, you know what, I think there's some criminal activity in here, and we've got some evidence enough to give you a warrant? Are you invited by the homeowner?
No.
No, right? So then, what's the outcome if the homeowner says, you know what, I'm gonna defend my property, and he starts shooting?
Well, it happens all the time.
Right,
You know,
what's likely to happen? The
and
homeowner is probably gonna get outgunned, outnumbered, and most likely get shot or killed, right? That's the most likely outcome if they choose that option, right?
Yeah.
So the safest option for them to keep their life, limb, and property is to show hospitality.
Defend themselves,
Huh?
or defend themselves.
And that's no, not in this situation where you have a
Yeah.
stronger military occupied
Oh, yeah,
force
okay,
coming into your
I hear
house,
you, I hear you,
right?
yeah.
It's to say, you know what, they're coming guns, like 10 guys deep, SWAT ready to go. I'm not gonna put up a resistance. Hey, let me help you, so that my family doesn't I don't get killed, right?
Mm.
That's what happened in Iraq. That's what happens in occupied areas. They realize that if I resist, I get killed, because that's what we did in '03. The ROE was way looser then. It was Wild West. Anybody with a gun, you can shoot.
Yeah.
It was crazy, ROE.
We were at least 3rd Brigade, and that
Yeah.
was in '04.
Yeah.
And 3rd Brigade was, their rules of engagement wasn't an offensive, it was
Yeah.
more of a defense.
It was trying to
Stay
shift.
in- Stay in your fall.
Mhm.
And, is this recording?
Yeah, I can cut it off.
I don't really want to talk about
Let me cut it off.
war.
Filters. Button. Finished. Live. 31 minutes, 8 seconds. 76 watching now. 30. 1080. Find Brazil Atlantic. 1080. Find Vimeo on BitTube. Nolly D. And this Nolly D. I've been called SJW. Options.